guys, today I want to take you back to the 1920s. Now I already made this bracelet, you can find that on my beading channel, and it's very art deco, made with cup chains from Preciosa, and I wanted to make the matching ring. So here's the matching ring. Let me zoom that in a little bit for you. That's the matching ring. It's basically done exactly the same. This has gold pearls on it because I didn't have any more white pearls. This one is done with white pearls, so it depends on, I'm kind of running low on stock, let me put it like that. And it's done also with cup chains, and I got like a red 14mm Swarovski Rivoli in there. And I would have preferred, to be honest, a sapphire to go with this. But it's a really beautiful set. It's very 1920s, very roaring 20s flapper style, but also like Tiffany style. And I want to show you that, zoom that out a little bit, to show you how the whole set looks together. Put my ring on. And that's the whole set. As you can see, it's a really good match, and it looks very, very 1920s. Now I also want to do the earrings to match and the necklace, but right now I'm just running low on supply. So I'm going to do my best to at least make the earrings, and I will leave the necklace for a little later. So this bracelet is on my channel. The ring I'm making right now for Potomac Bead Company. And this ring, you won't find it on my channel, so just in case you're wondering, oh my god, where did that ring go that she did? It's right here. What do you need? Well, you need some Fireline, and I'm using Berkeley's Fireline. This is actually Fisher's Firelines. This is what people fish with. It's 0.13mm, but you can just use the regular Fireline if you have like a regular roll like this. Well, this is Wildfire, of course, but you know, these smaller rolls, they have them in Fireline also. It doesn't really matter. So this is what you need to begin with, and I got, let me see, I got Duragold, galvanized gold. If you already made the bracelet, it's basically the same, only this is done with white pearls. And you need size 8/0 Miyuki seed beads. Also, I got the gold colored here, the galvanized gold. You need, of course, a piece of cup chain. You need 14 cups on that chain, so you can cut that off, which is much easier than this bracelet because you couldn't cut that off because you didn't know how long that was going to be or how big that needed to be. I also have Delicas, size 11/0 silver lined, and I got seed beads 15/0 silver lined, and two pieces right here, that's double-sided adhesive. This is like a big chunk of, they come in A4 sizes, so it's double-sided adhesive. I don't like glue, so I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible, and it works really, really well with double-sided adhesive. So, and I was just talking to a friend, and she told me that she glued her fingers together, so she'll be buying double-sided adhesive after this weekend. We're going to start with an arm span and a half. That is like, span your arms wide, and then hold on to the thread, and then pull the thread, hold it in your finger, and then pull it to your heart, and then you got about an arm span and a half wide. And I'm also going to run that through beeswax because I have gotten really accustomed to beeswax. And when you use the beeswax, even though the thread is waxed already, it helps with not damaging the thread so fast. So I'm going to run this through my beeswax, and I'm going to put my fingers on there, and I'm going to just kind of, in between my fingers, I'm going to take that down like that. And you will have some extensive beeswax on your fingers, and then you take that off. I also use a John James needle. Now, my John James needle is really crooked, and people ask me, where can I get the crooked John James needles? Well, you can't get crooked John James needles. This is from forcing through my beads. That just automatically happens. But they're so strong they bend instead of break. Well, sometimes they break, but you know, they last me a long time. Now, the ring is based on crawl. That's cubic right angle weave. If you've never done it before, I suggest you do go practice it before you try this ring, or the bracelet for that matter. It's quite a complicated stitch to learn, but once you get the hang of it, there's so much you can do with it, and it's such a cool stitch. Okay, we're going to pick up a pearl first. That's a 3mm pearl. We're going to pick up a silver seed bead. We're going to pick up 4 galvanized Duracoat gold and another silver seed bead. And we're going to pull that to the end of our thread. And we're going to tie a double knot. And we do that really carefully. What I always do is I like to leave like a bit of space, so not pull it all the way to the end, because if you do that, most of the time you will pull a bead in between there. So I'm going to do, I like to do 2 on top of each other, and then I still have some room, and then I kind of pull that tight. Okay, now we're going to turn it so that the pearl comes first. I'm going to pull that knot into the pearl. Pop. And just kind of pull it again when you're in there, so that that knot is in there and you didn't pull it out. Next, we're going to pick up 1/80 galvanized gold and 2 more 3mm pearls, like that. And we're going back into the pearl. Pull that through. We're going into the silver. We're going to pick up 2 Duracoat gold and 1 silver. And we're going back into the 8/0 and into the silver, like that. And just kind of put that on top of there and pull that tight. Now move into the 4 gold. And this is where we stop. We're going to now take our little piece of double-sided adhesive and we're going to pry that open. Carefully, so it doesn't by accident fold double. And I'm going to very carefully, if my needle will work with me, put that right on top of. It's very hard when you got a bended needle to make it listen to you. I got an idea. There. Very carefully put that on top of our pearl and the pearls and the 8/0 seed bead. I'm going to push that down, and now we're going to take that off, the top off, so that the adhesive will stay on the pearls. Put that aside and try not to touch that with your fingers. Take your cup chain and put that on there very carefully. Try not to touch your adhesive like that. Okay, and now when you pick it up, everything is attached already to each other. So, but be careful, make sure it's gonna stay straight. Put your finger on top of there, just your nail, you know, just very carefully with your nail, just kind of push it down, and then just put your finger on top of there. Now we're gonna pick up 8 gold, 15/0, and I like to do it in 2 parts so I don't miscalculate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 4 and 4, and I'm going back in these 2, skipping over the silver seed bead. I'm going back into 2 gold. So it's not exactly a craw, but I'm doing this because I want to make sure that everything is connected right. And that cup chain will be where I want it to be. Go into the next 4 gold and just kind of put your finger on top of there. Get your end tail out of the way. And go down in the silver seed bead on the side. And then just pull everything tight. Move 4 seed beads over. Go into the pearl. Pick up a silver seed bead and go into 4 seed beads, but be careful you don't go into these 4. Just these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down in the silver again, on the side, and pull that tight into the pearl. And the fact that I'm using a double-sided adhesive and not glue is that I don't have anything on my fingers right now. So if you're using glue, you probably have it all over your fingers right now, unless you let, of course, let it dry first. Now, I'm going into the pearl and moving that cup chain over. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around everything again. And when I go into the pearl, that's my first bead, so I need to count 5 times. This is number 1. Into the silver is number 2. Now we're going to pick up 4 seed beads on the side. 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the side. That's number 3. We're going into the silver again, that's number 4. And into the pearl, which is number 5, which brings you back at the beginning. And we're started again with 180 and 2 pearls. And we're going back into that same pearl that you just came out of. We're going to move in to that silver seed bead on the side. We're now going to add 2 gold 15-0 and a silver 15-0 to our needle, and we're going back into the 8-0 and just kind of push it through into that silver one. That's on the other side. Now make sure that it's nice on top like that. Turn it around. Move into the 4 seed beads on the top. Pull that tight. And now we're going to do 4 plus 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gold. That's together, that's 8. And we're going into the 2, skipping over the silver. Like that. And now we're going to move into the 4, right there. on the top. And we're going to move down on the side into the silver. And pull that tight into the pearl. Adding a silver to my needle and picking up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back down in the silver, up in the gold, and into the pearl, which is number 1. And we're going around 5 times. So pearl number 1, silver seed bead on the side number 2, moving around 4 seed beads, and carefully look because you need 2 seed beads on the side, and as you can see, this 4th seed bead is kind of moving over to the middle, so you don't want that to happen. Picking up 4 seed beads. Number 3, into the silver seed bead. Number 4, and into the pearl again. Number 5. And pull it tight. And then we're going to start again. Let's do it one more time. Pick up an 8/0 and 2 pearls. Into the pearl. Into the silver seed bead on the side, moving forward, picking up 2 gold and a silver, into the 8/0, into the silver, move it over, and move into the 4 seed beads. Right there. Adding to needle 8, 2 times 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's very important that I do this way, because if I try to do 8, sometimes I have 9, which is not too bad because I can always cut one out. But if you have 7, then you have a problem because you never can add one. So that means you will have to take your piece out again. So I don't want to do that. I'm just going to be careful. I'm going into the 2 seed beads on the side, and I'm moving forward into the 4 seed beads. I'm a very impatient girl, so if I can move forward as much as possible, I will. I'm going to pull that right around that cup chain right there, and into the silver, into the pearl, pulling that tight, picking up a silver, into 4 on the side, and sometimes it's better just to look on the top if you got all 4 of them, and if you didn't by accident go into one of the bottom ones, right there in the middle. So, into the silver, into the pearl, and into the pearl, going around 5 times. 1, silver, 2, 4 seed beads, 3, silver, 4, and pearl, 5. Okay, now you got to finish all of them, and when you get to the last cup chain, of course you will have to glue that on the last pearls again. So, but I suggest if you got this, pause me now. If not, just play it back a little bit and see again how I did that. And But if you got it, then just continue and join me again when we get to the last one, okay? Now as you do your last one, and you will put it like in a round like that, you will notice that it's not flat like this one, but we'll get to that later. So don't worry if it just kind of already curls in a little bit inwards, and the cup chain is on the side, so don't worry about that. I just wanted to say that. So we're coming out on the right side of this pearl, and it's better if you show that on the back. And we need to go into this left side of the pearl with a seed bead, 8-0. So going in there, and now we need to close that up by adding a pearl. So we're going to add a pearl coming out of the left side here, going into the right side over there. And because we have to close this up real good, I suggest you go around again. Into the 8-0 seed bead, into the pearl, into the pearl, and into the pearl. And now where we started, put your needle back to the front, and we need to put a little adhesive on there. And the best way to do that is just kind of by folding that double and putting that little piece of adhesive there so that cup chain is out of the way. Okay, so picking up my double-sided adhesive, prying that open, and it's already moving from the other side of my paper, so I'm going to carefully, oh yeah, I used a flat nose plier for that the first time, so I might as well do that again. Make sure that that's nice and tight, get that out of the way, fold that double a little bit like that, and apply your adhesive as best as you can. Needs to move over a little bit. Gotta be careful. Make sure it's on all 4 spots as much as possible. And then kind of close that up and put that cup chain on there in the middle. I'm going to move into the 8-0 and that silver seed bead right there on the side. Gotta move that adhesive a little bit more, because it just shows too much on the outside, and you can just kind of scoop it in there. And if you don't like the way it looks, you can always put a new piece on there. Now, on this side there were 2 seed beads added. So I'm going to add 2 seed beads, and I'm going back in that silver on the other side, into the 8-0, and up the silver. Pulling everything together now. Going into the 4 seed beads. And adding 4 seed beads. Gold. Going into these 4 seed beads. And I'm going to go around again into the 2, and into the 4, because I want to close that up really good. Into the 4, and then down in the silver. Into the pearl, up in the silver, and through the 4. Into the silver, into the pearl, and just making sure that that is good and tight. And I'm going to go around into the silver, 4, the silver, the pearl, and I'm going to move over 1 pearl, up in the silver, and that looks really good. Into the 4, now we're going to add our Delica beads. In between all the 4s. So, make sure you get all 4 of them. Keep your end tail out of the way. When you do the last one, last 4, push through another silver Delica and the next 4. Go down into the silver, into the pearl, and now your threads should meet up, so you double knot, and pull that knot into that middle pearl. Now your working thread goes into the 8/0 seed bead, and you're just going to leave it there. Don't do anything, don't cut it off, but your end tail, put that on a needle, put that in the pearl, up the silver, pull that through the beads, the 15 O's, and just cut that off. Okay, now you got this, and the next thing we're going to do is make the refoley for the inside. So put that aside, get a 12 millimeter Swarovski, and we're going to do silver delicas all around it. And the 12 millimeter is set up with 28 delicas. Again, we're going to use the Fireline, about an arm span and a half. And of course run that through our wax. Get the extensive wax off. Put it on our needle. And set up 28 delica beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pull that to the end of the thread, but leave a considerable amount of end tail, because we're also going to close up the bottom with the end tail. Now, double count, that's what I always do. 5, 10, 15, 20, 24, 28. Double knot. And again here too, I do that as carefully as possible. I'll try not to pull that all the way. I'd rather have that one knot first and then pull that tight. We're going to move forward with our working thread into the first delica. And this is a bezel, also called a peyote stitch. And we're going to pick up a delica. And we're going to skip one delica and we're going to go into the next delica right there. Again, we're going to pick up a delica, skip a delica, and go into the next delica. And we're going to do that all the way around. Pick up a delica, skip a delica, into the next delica. So, all the way around. And then you should have a total of 14. And when you've gone all the way around and you add your last one, you're going to go just into that next one right there, like you've been doing. And then you've finished your round and you need to make a next round. So what you do is you step up in the next delica. And then you go around again. Now this is easier because now you can see where the beads need to go in between. And this is the third round. When you've gone all the way around, again you're going to go into the last one, but you might as well step up right away. So you're going through 2. And we're going to do one more round. We're going to pull it a little tight now so you get in your little cup where that Rivoli needs to go into. So one more round of delicas. And you will now, if you want to see that cup and don't want to pull it out of proportion, you got to hold it really carefully on the side. Going in between. One more time. 14 need to go in the middle. and 14, stepping up in the last 2. Now I'm going to do one more row with silver 15-0 seed beads in between the delicas, but before I do that I first want to do the bottom part so I can put my Rivoli in there without it falling through. So I'm taking my needle off the working thread and I'm going to the end till, putting that on my needle, and I'm coming out of this delica bead. Now I like to work forward, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the middle bead, move over a bead to my right, turn back in the first row, and then I can work forward. And I'm going to add 15-0 delicas in between here, and you can see where they where the gaps are. You have to put them in between there, so right there, 1, 2, and it also needs to be 14. When you add the last one, you're also going to step up in delica and the seed bead, the very first one you added. And now we're going to tie off, going to go continue into the next delica, and we're going to turn back into the delica next to it. Going to go into the middle delica and the one on the left side, back in the delica on the right side, the middle one, and the one on the left side. So you're going back 3, and we're going to go into right, middle, and left again. And then we're just going to cut off our thread. Now we're going to put our needle back on the other thread and pull it tight, and we're going to put 15-0 seed beads in between here now. Do about, well, you got 14, do about 9, and then we're going to put our Rivoli in there. 1, 2. Add the Rivoli in there. Pull that tight. Keep your finger on there, and let's add the last ones. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. And stepping up again in the delica and the 15-0 seed bead. Moving to the back, so we're gonna go across to the bottom. I'm stepping through 3 here. I'm gonna turn it around, turning back into that delica right next to it. And the next one in the middle. And I'm going to now, and it's going to be very hard to see, but I'm going to now add 15-0s in between the delicas on this row. So you got to be really careful that you're going to go in a straight row. So just See where your needle thread comes out of, and then just pick up the next one. 2, and we're going to do that 14 times. 2, 3. When you add the last one, you also step up in that first seed bead and go into the delica again. That's on the side to the right. I'm going to turn it around again, moving over one delica that's right beside it, and I'm going to go back into 2, which would be the middle one and the one right in front of the seed beads we added. I'm going to pull that all tight, and I'm going to go into my seed bead. And I'm just moving from left to right because I like to work forward. So we're now coming out of the seed bead right there. And I'm going to pick up my other piece. And I'm going to go into an 8/0. And it doesn't matter which one when it's the first one. And that's going to go right there on top of there. I'm going to go into the next seed bead and the next 8/0 right here. And I'm just going to zip that up basically, going into the next seed bead, into the next 8/0. And you got to pull it tight at a certain point, so be careful. Seed bead, 8/0. Seed bead 15, seed bead 8/0. And here's the last one, so carefully attaching that, and that still needs to be attached on this side. So going in there, I'm moving up the 15/0 that's in between the 8/0s. I'm moving up in the 4 seed beads, and now you got a Rivoli that's sticking out. So we're going to push that down, and that way we're going to get our flat look to what I wanted. So moving over, going into 4 seed beads, into the 4 seed beads over here. Make sure you pick them up, all of them. And now we're going to add to our needle 2 gold 15/0s and 1 delica, and we're going into the 15/0 that is right there. So you're kind of going from this seed bead into here. So picking up the 15/0, silver, and I'm going back into that delica bead, picking up 2 gold, and into these 4 seed beads. I'm going to go around into the next one. So picking up 4, seed beads on the outside, 4 seed beads in the middle, adding 2 gold and a Delica to my needle, and I'm picking up this seed bead right here. So you're skipping one and then you're picking up the next. And you just push that down, go back into that Delica, pick up 2 gold and the 4 seed beads again. I'm just going to do this all the way around. I'm adding my last 2 here of the gold 15 O's, and now I'm going to move in to the 4 again and into the silver. I'm going to add 4 gold 15 O's on top, going into that silver. So we're now going 4 to silver to do like a double row on there. We're going to just kind of push this down and pull that tight. And when you've done all of them, you will get a little bit of a better round look to it. So just kind of pull that tight so that these beads go sort of under the ones where you just topped them on. And when you did your last one, go back in the row of the 4 in front of it. Stick your needle underneath that silver seed bead. And just go into the gold pearl like that. And then let's go to the side. And make sure that you're coming out from on top. So I just went under some thread here and I pulled that out. So that's very important that you stay on top of things. We're going to take the needle off and we're going to start with the other thread first, which is coming out of this seed bead. Now I want to work forward, so I'm going to go into the pearl, into the top pearl, into the middle pearl, and into that seed bead. And now we're going to add our ring band, and we're going to do that by picking up a Delica, going into the next seed bead, and another Delica into the next seed bead. And now you can choose whether you want a silver ring band or if you want a gold ring band. I did a gold ring band here. You can do a silver ring band if you like. You will need 11 seed beads to make a ring band. So I'm going to do that with another set of gold seed beads, because it's easier to see the gold seed beads than it is to see the silver seed beads. I'm picking up 2 for the side, 5 for the middle, so that's 2, 5 for the middle, and another 2 for the other side. And what I mean with that you will see in a minute. So I'm going back into the 8/0 seed bead in front of the Delica, and I'm going to push that all the way through if possible. If not, you just have to do it in parts. And just make sure you go through all of them into that silver and into that gold again. And I'm going around one more time. through all these seed beads. And again in the 8 and the silver. 8 and the silver. And those of you who followed my tutorials know that I like my ladder stitch, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through the 2 that are on the side, and then we're going to pick up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to now turn it around, add a seed bead to my needle, and I'm going to go into backwards into that first seed bead like that, and then back in the seed bead. And this is the ladder stitch. I really like the ladder stitch. Picking up another seed bead, going into the second seed bead right here, and then going backwards into the first row and into that second seed bead, picking up another one, kind of in the wrong spot, there, picking up another one, going back in that, backwards in that third seed bead, picking up the seed beads moving forward, picking up the next one, into the fourth, moving forward, into the one I just added, picking up number 5, into that seed bead, backwards and forward. I'm going to go into the previous row, all 5 of them, and into all 5 of the row I just added to connect them together like that. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do exactly the same as I did in the previous row. So I'm going to pick up one, going backwards in my first one, and I'm moving forward. Picking up another one, back in the second one, moving forward. Pick up another one into the third, move that forward, picking up another one into the fourth, moving forward, picking up another one, back, forward, into the previous row, all 5 of them, and into the 5 you just added. And I'm turning it around again. I'm going to do it again. So that's just what you're going to do until your ring band is long enough or you run out of thread. And we're going to run out of thread before the ring band is long enough. So that's why the thread on the other side is still there. And just continue until you almost run out of thread, and I will show you how to end that thread up on this side and how we're going to continue on the other side. Now I'm almost running out of thread, so I'm going to go back into the previous row, into the row in front, into the previous row, the row in front. What I always do is just kind of take the back side of the needle and just go through there one more time. Just make sure you got all 5 of them, even if you use the back side of the needle. That way you got the most out of your thread. And then I'm going to cut it off. Now, of course, this is not even long enough. This is how you fit. So we need at least the same amount, if not more, probably on the other side. Now what I like to do is I would like to double check, so that I'm straight across to the other side. Now I'm right here coming out, so that's putting my needle on top of these two beads, these two 8/0s, these two, these two, these two. That means I need to use these 3 seed beads. And I'm coming out of this pearl, so I'm going into this seed bead right here. And I'm going to add my Delica right here. And now I'm going to add my 2 plus 5 plus 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2. And I'm going into this other seed bead on the other side. Now I also have to still add my Delica in between there, so I'm going to do that now. Delica, seed bead Delica, and seed bead right here. And I'm going around again through all of them before I start to add my seed beads in the next row. Seed bead Delica, seed bead, Delica, seed bead, and now I'm just going to go up the 2 and the 5. First 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here I start adding my 11 O's again, like we did on the other side. So to fit is putting this like that and then pushing the other side against it. So I will get back to you when I'm almost there at the fit. So this is how you fit, and that fits. So now we're going to close it up. You just kind of grab it together like that. And then the thread is coming out of this bead on this side. So we're going into this first bead. Going back into that bead right there. Now we're moving forwards 2, 1, 2, come out. Going into the second one on the top. Going back into the second one on the bottom and the third one. Going into the third one on the top. Into 3 and 4 on the bottom. Into number 4 on the top. Into 4 and 5 on the bottom. Now it's easier to just turn it around. Into number 5. Into number 5. All the way down and all the way up. Now what I like to do is I like to zigzag until I got a really sturdy ring band that can stand on its own, because when I put this down it's just gonna kind of collapse right there. Oh, it's not too bad, but I would like a really sturdy ring band, especially also for taking pictures. It's really nice when it can stand up and hold its own weight, and then the pictures are really pretty. So I'm going to continue going up and down and forth and back, also moving through the Delicas and the 8/0s until I run out of thread, basically. And I hope my ring band will be sturdy enough that it can hold its own weight. So, moving through these again, and you're also making it stronger, of course, by every time you go through there, either on the side or through the rows themselves. Got that, and now I'm just going to go back to the other side again. And when you're done, well, then you've gone probably through these rows so many times that you can just cut off your thread, or cut off your thread when you feel like, okay, I can't go through there anymore. I've been through there so many times now. My needle doesn't fit through anymore without popping a bead. So then just cut off your thread and everything will be secured. But make sure you cut off your thread when you're at the end of a row, and not like, not like that. Don't cut off your thread like that. Just make sure that you're at the end. Okay, it's getting harder to get through that thread now, or through the beads now. So I'm going to cut this off. I don't have much thread left. And that's it, guys, and you now have a ring that can hold its own weight, so you really don't need to have a ring display for this, because it can hold its own weight. And this is how it looks on your finger. Well, I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you back next time on my own channel, because I got some matching earrings that I would like to do. Also like to do a necklace to go with it. I don't have enough beads for that right now, so I have to wait until I get more supplies. Okay, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, guys, and I hope to see you back for the matching earrings on my own channel. Bye!